Watering and trestle support for your garden. All right, so today we're going to be talking about water movement, irrigation systems, and trestle and supports. Each of these topics are essential for having good success in your garden. Just knowing how water interacts with your garden also will help you understand why it's so important in the first place. All right, so water movement. Let me move this out of the way. Water movement. Understanding how water works in your garden allows you to take care and protect your crops. This is the water flow. So watering your soil. Adding water to your soil lets the roots absorb and transport moisture and nutrients through the stem and also helps keep life in the soil. That includes bacteria, fungi, worms, and insects. Plants in particular do a process of absorption and transpiration. So it goes through the stem and leaves. The plant transforms the water from liquid to vapor and expels it into the air. So this is a little diagram here of the roots taking in moisture, it going up to the stems and leaves, and then transpiration is happening right here through the leaves. And so water actually moves differently depending on the type of soil that you have in your garden. So there are mainly three types. Sandy soil is soil with a high percentage of sand or large soil particles. It mainly consists of rock particles such as limestone, shale, granite, and quartz. Sandy soil has a low percentage of organic material. Water also travels through sandy soil very easily, so nutrients leach out more quickly. Loamy soil. Loamy soil is a mixture of soil that is ideal for plant growing medium. It's actually a combination soil, normally equal parts of clay, silt, and sand. Also in loamy soil, you will identify a lot of organic matter or compost, which serves as an energy resource for the life in the soil. And then if you are doing any in-ground gardening here in Santa Clara County, you'll be very familiar with clay soil. Clay soil impedes the flow of water, meaning it absorbs water slowly, then retains it for a long time. Wet clay soil is heavy and sticky and tends to swell from added moisture. When dry clay shrinks, it settles. And the top layer can actually bake into a hard concrete-like crust, which cracks. Some plants have difficulty growing through clay soil because seedlings or roots are unable to penetrate through the hard, dry soil or can be waterlogged in wet soil. So if you are doing any in-ground gardening here in Santa Clara County, you should be very familiar with clay soil. We always have to condition the soil before planting it out, or else plants really suffer here. And then this is just an example on how water goes through different soils. So sand, you can see that it goes quickly throughout without spreading out. Loamy soil spreads out basically in between sand and clay. So it goes through with a reasonable amount, and then clay itself pools up further on the surface, and water doesn't easily go through it as compared to sand. So there's one way you can actually keep moisture in your garden and protect your soil. So using mulch, covering your soil with mulch allows you to maintain moisture in the soil, and also the decomposing mulch feeds the life in the soil. So these are two good examples of mulch that you can use in the garden. So there's tree leaves. So if you saved any of your leaves from fall, you can use that as a mulch for your garden. With the exception of walnut leaves, you can't use walnut leaves in the garden. They're actually they suppress the growth of other plants. So if you have a walnut tree, don't use them, but any other tree, you should be able to use the leaves. And then there's also straw that you can purchase, usually through feed stores. They will have some straw bales that you can use, which is also very good at preserving moisture in the soil. You're also protecting the soil from the rays of the sun. Soil won't dry out as easily, and also the life in the soil won't die as easily. Okay, so we're going to talk about irrigation systems. So we usually do a combination of both hand watering and drip irrigation through La Mesa Verde. Some of you have drip irrigation installed in your beds. And I'm not sure whether or not some of the first year members here have tried out their drip irrigation, but there's definitely different pros and cons when it comes to both styles of watering. So for hand watering, the pros is that you get to spend some time with your plants and you can differentiate irrigation by the type of plant, and you're able to water in all areas. The cons is really without quantity control, wet leaves and stems, soil can flood, and nutrients drain a little bit faster. And then in drip irrigation, the pros are minimizing runoff. It also minimizes evaporation during application since you're applying water directly to the root zone, and it also saves on water consumption. The only issues with drip irrigation, however, are leaks. There's also some unwatered areas. Sometimes you'll also forget to turn off your water, and eventually the tubing will get blocked and would need maintenance. Really, you can be successful in doing either type. I always say do a hybrid of both. On really hot days where you notice the soil is really dry, I would hand water as much as you can. That way it goes directly to the roots. Drip irrigation is nice every once in a while when it's not as labor intensive. And if you're really about saving water, what I would do is make sure your lines are as close to the base of the plant as possible. That way the water goes where it's needed. But both system works depending on your consistency. Quantity and periodicity, stability and balance. So most vegetables needs at least 1 inch of water per week, less in cool weather and more in hot weather. You want to water deeply instead of watering very shallowly. So infrequently, 2 days per week in cool weather or every other day in hot weather, sometimes even every day in hot weather. For hand watering, you're watering directly on the soil near the base of the plant for 10 to 30 seconds each, avoiding to get the leaves, flowers, and fruit wet. For drip irrigation, you can leave the water on for 30 to 45 minutes or longer if it's hot. But before you start watering, always check the soil in several spots in your garden by digging with your finger a couple of inches in. That way you can feel whether or not the soil is moist or not. If it's dry, definitely water. If it's moist, you don't really have to water. Okay, trestles and supports. So here are some examples of some trestles that you can put into your garden. So trestles, cages, and stakes are supports that are used to help plants grow off the ground and support heavier fruits and vegetables. Plants that are grown on supports bear better quality fruits and vegetables and experience less diseases since the plant isn't growing directly on the soil. You can use them on plants like beans, tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers. And there are several types. You can use stakes with twine to make a teepee like this one right here, or you can have wooden trellises like these two examples. And then there's also metal tomato cages that you can use, which you can buy pre-made and they're pretty simple to use. All right, I'm gonna check in with Fernando. He's going to do a presentation in the garden of some of the trestles. Okay, hey Jared, could you go to the garden? Sorry. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back into the room. That way we can actually see the presentation. 1 second. How do I do this? Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of a moment until we go into the garden. I just got an update from Fernando and Jackie. The other presentation in Spanish is just taking a little bit longer. But does anyone have any questions when it comes to the garden, mulch, watering that I could possibly answer?
I have a couple.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start one at a time.
Okay, so what's going on is I planted beets in my garden, and I don't know whether to water them every day. And then also, I don't know whether to, how many times a week am I supposed to water the okra? I don't know how many times a week I'm supposed to be watering my vegetables, basically.
Okay, so basically you have to always check the moisture.
Okay.
On hot, especially warm weather, you can do it probably every other day. If it's super hot, especially during a heat wave, you can do it every day. When plants are freshly planted, especially since how young your plants are, they do need more water up front, just so that they don't stress out because of the environment. It is a lot hotter, and the wind also dries them out as well, not just the heat. So you can probably water pretty consistently, especially for the newly planted beets. Okra is a little bit more drought tolerant. It will produce better quality fruit if you water it more frequently, but it really likes hot places, and it is a little bit drought tolerant. So you don't have to water that as frequently. What I would do is same thing with your finger, test the soil around the plants to see if it's moist or if it's dry. And if it's dry, then go ahead and water. Or even if your plants start wilting a little bit, usually that's an indicator that you need to water pretty quickly and that they're at stress. So yeah, that's what you can do for both of those plants. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Also, here's my trellis. I made my little trellis.
Looks good. It's so tall.
I know, because I want it to be like a I don't know what they call it, but it's going to be really nice. And that's for my cucumbers. I got the stakes at grocery outlet for I think $3, and then I got those little metal hoops for $3 at Home Depot. I think there were $2 something at Home Depot. So it's going to be beautiful once the cucumbers start growing around it.
And I see that you put in mulch in your garden as well. That looks really good.
Yeah, I wanted to do like a little design, around my bed. So I went ahead and did that.
Yeah, that's going to prevent a lot of weeds from popping up also from the ground. So it's a good thing that you did that. It looks great.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, of course.
When I'm ready to cut my cilantro, because I have to create more space for the summer stuff, and it's pretty much flowering, should I leave the roots inside or pull it out?
For cilantro, it usually doesn't come back from its roots. Usually it's better to plant it once per season. So you'll have to take out the roots eventually.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Any concerns of the garden? Any direct questions about watering or mulch?
Hi, I have a question. My name is Maggie. I heard the lady say her cilantro is already grown. Is that did she plant before, or was that in the garden bed? Because mine hasn't grown.
So from the looks of it, that cilantro was planted a lot earlier than when we planted it through our program. So yours is not going to be that size yet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It'll get there eventually.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions on particular plants in their garden? Okay, does anyone want to actually show their garden more? We have a little bit of time. We have about 13 minutes until the garden presentation happens.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm a new gardener, and when do we start setting up the trellis? So I have beans that I think are sprouting a little late. Do we set up the trellis now?
So you want to set up the trellis as soon as possible. That way they actually have something to grow on. And especially if your trellis stakes into the ground, you want to do it ahead of time. That way you don't end up damaging the roots around the plant.
Okay, and the beans, I thought that I was supposed to expect sprouting about a week.
Usually a week or two.
A week or two, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine, I planted mine in the beginning of this month also, and they're just barely coming up within this past weekend. So it's pretty normal for them to break out between 7 to 14 days.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so any new soil that any new bed that I get set in, I know we're supposed to wait some time before you plant something into it, like for it to get settled. How long?
So are you saying this with a brand new soil, or are you talking about after you put like fertilizer in it? Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
Brand new soil.
Brand new soil, you can usually, if it's brand new soil without any like manure fertilizer, you can plant pretty right away.
It's the same mix. It's the mushroom compost with the veggie mix.
You should
So
be able to plant it right away.
The next question is for mulch. You're saying you can use straw. Can you use hay?
So you can use hay. The issue with hay is that sometimes it'll have flowers in them, dried up flowers in it. And so you risk the chance of having that particular hay sprout in your garden. So long as you are able to get hay that doesn't have any seeds in them, it's perfectly okay to put it in your garden. Straw, you won't have as much of a problem with it, but you still need to make sure that the straw doesn't have any seed pods in it.
I'm not going to go through it.
Yeah, and that's a lot to check, especially if you have a whole bale of it.
Yeah, from Christmas.
Oh.
Long story. The nativity scene in the front of the house. Anyway, the other one is, I remember you saying that some of the veggie plants need help pollinating. So plant them next to something else that attracts, because I don't remember what it was.
So all the plants, they'll get better fruit set if they have pollinators nearby. So planting multiple plants of the same species is a good thing. Also, planting plants that attract beneficial insects like marigolds or cosmos, like what we would give you in your garden. They will attract bees and such that will actually end up pollinating your other plants as well. So the only other suggestion I would say is, adding those pollinator plants. And then for tomatoes, you can actually increase the yield by actually gently shaking the flowers a little bit with your finger, just like this. It will actually dislodge some of the pollen inside the flower into the stamen, and then it will actually fruit a lot better. Essentially what pollinators typically do with tomatoes is that they go onto the flower and they try to get the nectar, but they can't get it, and they actually just shake the flower. So you're essentially doing what the insects would do for your tomatoes.
And then my last question is, are there any particular plants that should stay away from each other to avoid cross-pollination?
Cross-pollination? So with cross-pollination, you really have to look up the species of the plant. So for example, you can have 2 different varieties of lettuce, right? And they can actually cross-pollinate and basically make hybrid seed, which would grow up and not be the same plants that you would really want. Same thing with squash. A lot of squash are in the same family. There's a couple of different species of squash, but if you grew pumpkins and zucchini, usually those would end up crossing, which wouldn't be good for seed later on. Same thing with peppers. If you grow a hot pepper or a sweet pepper at the same time and you saved seed from both of those plants, sure, the fruit will be okay, but if you tried growing from those seeds, it would end up being a random mix of different types of peppers, so you wouldn't even be able to tell if it's hot or sweet.
So keep the same types of vegetables together.
Yes, that will keep, if you're planning to save seed, then that's a good way to go, and also it'll increase fruit set.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like we're ready for the garden presentation. Was there anything else anyone had questions for? We have 56 seconds. Never mind,
Okay.
welcome back, guys.
Okay, I'm going to the garden. See you there.
Okay.
Voy al jardín. Nos vemos ahí.
All right. Hello, hello.
Hello. We can hear you.
All right. Bueno, mientras Fernando se va al jardín a preparar el video, aquí podemos tomar preguntas. While Fernando goes and sets up in the garden, we can continue any questions, discussion from food justice or the garden workshop. Is everybody back in the main room?
Yeah, they should be. Did anyone have any other questions?
Comments?
Jackie, ¿me escuchan?
Sí.
Sí, tengo una pregunta. Trasplanté mis plantas y parece que todas están aceptando el trasplante bien. Solo una planta, me parece que la de Chile, sus hojitas se están poniendo amarillas. ¿Es que la estoy regando mucho?
So Lourdes was asking, all her plants are doing really well, except one of her Chile plants, her leaves are turning yellow, and so she's asking if she's overwatering.
How often is she watering?
Un día sí y un día no. Every other day.
Every other day.
That shouldn't be an issue. She's a new gardener, right? This is the first time she's growing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, other times you see yellowing leaves is either it has a disease or it has a nutrient deficiency. So we can rule out that it doesn't have a nutrient deficiency since the soil that she basically has is brand new. It could possibly be a disease. What she can do is remove any of the affected leaves, and if she has any compost, she can give the plant a little bit of compost just to boost up its immune system a little bit and give it the proper nutrients it needs. But in the meantime, watering every other day sounds like a good frequency of watering. She could always try not watering as often, but right now with how warm it is, I would still recommend watering every other day. So just if it ends up being a disease that spreads throughout the entire plant and all the leaves start becoming yellow, you may have to remove and dispose of the plant.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about, I'm getting pests in my garden, little white eggs. I guess they're the minor, I forget what they call them.
Leaf miners?
Yeah, the leaf miners. And then also I have little baby worms, they're green worms. And they're eating my leaves. They're like real tiny though. So I found one of those, and I found the leaf miners are eating up my beet leaves. Mm-hmm. So I want to find an effective way to basically get rid of them.
Mhm.
And I also have my Swiss chard that's growing.
Mhm.
And they're going to be those big, beautiful leaves, and I love to eat the leaves from the beets also.
So I have a question for you, Rose. The little green worms that you're talking about, are they you're saying that they're pretty tiny. So how tiny are they?
They are tiny, like how tiny can I? Smaller than rice.
Okay, I'm not
almost like, yeah, I found one tiny one on my my okra.
Okay, I'm not particularly sure what kind of worm that is actually. But at least with the leaf miners, what you can do is any of the leaves where you see, a pattern of where they've actually went into the leaves, you can remove the leaf. Any eggs that you find underneath the leaves, you can actually squish with your finger.
Okay.
That way they don't reproduce, but you have to be very diligent, because once you have leaf miners, it spreads through the garden pretty easily to your other leafy plants. What you can do later on, if it ends up being a bigger issue, is you can get neem oil from the local hardware store like Home Depot, and make sure you dilute it to the instructions on the bottle, and you can actually spray that on your leafy crops to prevent that specific insect from developing. There's also another organic pesticide called spinosad, which it's a growth regulator for insects. So it actually prevents insects from growing to full size. So you could always use spinosad as well. It really just depends on your preference. Both of them are natural and organic products, however.
Thank you.
You have a question in the chat, Carlo, that said what kind of oil you mentioned?
So neem oil, neem oil is a particular oil. It comes from the neem tree, but it's known as a repellent for insects. But you have to make sure that you really dilute it. If you don't dilute it enough, it can burn your plants.
And it's spelled Neem.
Sorry, say that again?
It's spelled Neem.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm talking loud enough.
Neem oil, yep.
Jackie, are you there? Can you find me?
Okay, we see that Fernando's in the garden. Ya está en el jardín, entonces vamos a mover. Oh, there we go. Can you all see Fernando? Yes. Okay. So
I see Fernando.
He'll be in the. He'll be doing the presentation. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to drop them in the chat box. We'll also, or just hold them on until after, so we can have Fernando do his presentation. Si tienen las preguntas, las pueden poner en el chat o esperarse al final de la presentación para poder decirlas en voz alta. Gracias.
Okay, I can hear everyone and I can talk too, so I'm going to try to explain too. Puedo escucharlo y puedo hablar, eso voy a tratar de explicar algunas cosas. So, to do this support, para hacer este apoyo, what we saw here are three, Carlos, what is the name of these things?
Bamboo stakes.
Bamboo stakes. Estos son 3 palos de bambú. Lo que hicimos aquí, y Carlos nos ayudó, es principalmente amarrarlos. You can see here. You need to tie with any. We use this. I think this is a. I don't know what's the name.
Twine.
Yeah, twine. So you have to tie here. Tienes que amarrarla a la parte de arriba para unirlos los 3. Cuando ya tienes la parte de arriba amarrada, uno puede empezar a armar este triángulo. So when you have ready this part, who's gonna keep everything united and keep together, you can start to work in these areas. So in these areas, it's really easy. I'm gonna be more close. So what you need to do is just tie really strong in one side and do around this way. So lo que tienes que hacer principalmente es amarrar uno de los extremos y luego hacerlo girar alrededor de los demás. Uno puede hacerlo así como lo estoy mostrando acá, que es solamente alrededor, o uno puede hacerlo en esta otra forma acá, que es dándole una vuelta alrededor del palo para que se fije con más fuerza. So you can do both way. You can do this way, just tie in just one side and turning around the other bamboo sticks, or you can do in that way here in the bottom. It's doing some turn around each one, so they're gonna keep more secure. When you do this in the three parts, in the top, in the middle, and in the bottom, you can start to install in your plants. So here we have a few plants. We have a tomato here in this corner. So tenemos un tomate aquí. If the camera can more close, if you want to show, la cámara se va a acercar un poquito para mostrar. So we need to take care to the roots of the plant and don't break any leaf. So para instalarlo tenemos que tener cuidado con las raíces de la planta y tratar de no romper ninguna hojita, ningún bracito de la planta, okay? So the first thing is push hard one, and then the second. So uno puede empezar a enterrar el primero, después el segundo, y después se va al tercero. Remember, take care of your leaves. Your plant is so fragile, so take care with this. Tengan cuidado con las hojitas y los bracitos, porque su planta es muy frágil. ¿Ok? So aquí nosotros ya le instalamos el primer soporte. The goal is the plant can grow through this, okay? At some point, if we need this go more, the tomato is gonna grow more. So at some point we can open just a little more of this, to open more of this. We need to move in from the bottom. So el tomate en algún momento va a crecer a través de estos triángulos que nosotros vemos acá. Lo que uno puede hacer para darle más espacio es ir moviendo los cordeles hacia arriba. So, los palitos van a ir dando más espacio y más espacio. O podemos desamarrarlo acá y así vamos a permitir que la planta pueda seguir creciendo y teniendo más espacio. So one recommendation is we can always move these things just a little more up so they're going to have more space to open, to provide a space for the plant's growth. Or also we can take this out and we can just leave the sticks and put this, what is the name of this, Carlo, again? I always forget this.
Twine?
Sorry, what?
Garden twine?
Garden twine. You can take off the garden twine and you can do again with the space with each plant need. So this is the super basic thing, no? I think everybody in the house can do it. You don't need to buy this. Cualquiera puede hacer esto en su casa, no necesitas comprarlo. You can use any material like this. But also we have these options. The cage. También tenemos estas opciones que son las jaulas. No me gusta decir jaula. I don't like the cage word because it's like the jail. But I prefer to say it's like the support cage for the plants. So what we do here, lo que hacemos acá es poner la jaula alrededor de la planta, ¿ya? La enterramos cuidando que no toque las raíces, que no rompa las raíces, ni tampoco ni una de las líneas del riego. So when you install this cage, you have to take care the roots, the leaves, and also these lines of the irrigation system. So if the camera can move close and show this. Oh. So I don't know if they can see, but the plant is in the middle of the cage. I'm showing that or not?
Yes.
Awesome. So when you install your cage, be careful with the roots, be careful with the leaves and the stem, but also with the lines, and try to put the cage so the plant is in the middle. Voy a repetirlo nuevamente. Cuando instalen sus jaulitas para los tomates o los chiles, tengan cuidado al enterrarla de no romper las raíces, de no romper las hojas, ni tampoco los bracitos de la planta, ni los sistemas de riego, ¿ya? Y que la planta, como lo mostré en la imagen, quede al centro, al medio de la jaulita. Tenemos otros sistemas, podemos ir mostrando por acá. Tenemos distintos, aquí en la mesa verde estamos súper preparados. Tenemos distintos tipos de jaulitas para los tomates, con distintas formas. Acá sí podemos mostrar lo que hay aquí es el pepino. El pepino va a ser una planta que va a escalar. So what I'm showing here is a cucumber plant. The plant is gonna climb through this cage. So the idea is they can climb around the cage. So every part of the plant is gonna hold. That is a different plant in comparison with tomatoes or chiles, because the tomatoes and chiles just growing up, but they need support because their fruit is heavy. But in comparison with the climbing plants like the cucumber or the beans, they're gonna need something to growing up and support them climbing. So lo que estoy diciendo es que aquí lo que estoy mostrando es este pepino. El pepino es una planta escaladora, como una enredadera. Se va a enrollar alrededor de esta reja y va a firmar los frutos, ¿cierto? Distinto al tomate, el tomate va a crecer hacia arriba, va a crecer hacia los lados y el peso de los frutos es lo que lo va a mover, por lo tanto este más que nada va a firmar los frutos y el otro va a firmar la planta para que se enrede. Los pepinos se enredan, algunos frijoles también son de enredadera, por lo tanto uno puede poner las semillas de frijoles alrededor para que vayan subiendo por aquí y van a llevarse bien con el pepino, no debería haber ningún problema. Any question, concern, or something I forget to say about this, guys?
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been talking about in chat. So I know a lot of these things you end up having to buy from the store, but we do encourage everyone to be innovative and recycle whatever they can in order to make stakes for the garden. So what Jackie was talking about is old stakes, like wooden sticks. We've had members in the past use broomsticks and other poles to actually grow stuff. I know Adela, she ended up using a bunch of old lumber that she had sitting around just to build her tomato cages, or tomato trestles. But if you can, try to be as innovative in the garden as you can. It is simpler to buy the cages from the store, but they are going to be a lot more expensive than making it yourself.
Yeah, I always, como Carlos dice, no es necesario ir a Home Depot y comprar las cosas, ¿no? Uno puede ir reciclando. Aquí tenemos 2 palos de madera, uno puede siempre con 2 o 3 palos enterrarlos, ponerles algún cordel y eso ya es un soporte. Uno no necesita estar comprando esto para cuando uno tiene un poco más de recursos, uno puede invertir en esto, son un poco caros, pero si no, a falta de dinero está la creatividad, ¿no? Y los jardineros sabemos muy bien de eso. Con 2 o 3 palitos de madera uno los puede enterrar y ponerle el cordel. Lo importante es que uno entienda cuál es el uso, ¿no? Para qué lo quiero. Y cuando yo sé eso, ya lo puedo construir sin ningún problema. So, ahora está todo en sus manos y el tiempo que ustedes pueden dedicar en su jardín. Anything else we want to share or respond?
Did anyone else have questions on trestles or supports that they can build for the garden? So I just want to make sure to reiterate which plants that you need to support. So tomatoes you're going to have to support because their branches do get heavy with fruit. Peppers especially you need to support because the peppers will be weighed down by their fruit as well. Cucumbers need something to climb on. Same thing with beans. They need something to climb on as well unless you have bush beans. Um, but if you have anything that you're not sure about whether or not they need supports, feel free to contact Jackie, Fernando, or I, and we can tell you whether or not they need supports as a plant. Oh, I like those
So,
little supports.
yeah, I like to. So, lo que Carlos está diciendo es que recordar, las plantas que necesitan soporte son los tomates, los chiles, los que son de enredadera, o los que se suben como son los pepinos y también los frijoles. A veces uno ocupa para la berenjena, también uno puede ocupar una pequeña cage o estos palitos con los cordeles alrededor, porque a veces las berenjenas son grandes y por el peso la planta se tiende a caer. Si alguien más tiene alguna duda, por favor nos pueden contactar. Ustedes conocen nuestro correo electrónico, nuestro teléfono. Vamos a compartir esta presentación con ustedes, por lo tanto, y este video va a estar en Facebook Live, o si no lo vamos a estar subiendo porque lo hemos grabado, a través de nuestro canal de YouTube, a través de Facebook, todas las plataformas y medios, redes sociales que tengamos. Esa es la idea de hacer este video.
Fernando, tenemos una pregunta en el chat que dice, ¿qué tan altos deben de ser los soportes para los tomates, pepinos, chiles, etcétera?
Okay, so
So the question on the chat, sorry, real quick in English, is how tall do the trellises have to be for tomatoes, cucumbers, and chiles?
Los tomates normalmente van a crecer hasta esta altura. Eso debe ser como unos 4 pies o 5 pies. El año pasado tuvimos tomates de casi 6, plantas de tomates casi de 6 pies. Por lo tanto, tuvimos que construir unos super soportes. Estas rejas quedaron chicas, las tuvimos que sacar. Por lo tanto, uno tiene que ir acomodando los instrumentos según el proceso que la planta crece. Hay plantas de tomate que crecen hasta aquí nomás. Por lo tanto, depende de cuánto va a ir creciendo de la estructura que uno le tiene que ir dando. Ya uno tiene que ser muy flexible. So what I'm saying, some tomatoes grow 3 feet, others grow 4. In the last year, we have tomatoes who grow like 6 or 7 feet. They was more tall than me. And for those, we have to take all of these cages and build a new support, okay? So you need to be flexible and understand, depending how much grow your plants, what support you have to provide for them. Los chiles son plantas medianas, por lo tanto, una planta de chile debería crecer hasta por aquí, que deben ser algo como unos 3 pies y medio o algo parecido, casi 4 pies. Por lo tanto, una de estas rejas que son medianas debería servir sin ningún problema, o alguno de estos palos que mostré que son también medianos, no debería haber ningún problema. ¿Podemos mover la cámara de este lado? Can you come with the camera, please? So what I'm explaining, the chiles plants, they are medium size. They never grow more than 4 feet. If you're a really good gardener, you can have some chiles, 4-foot chiles plants. But they need a medium support. Can we show this plant? This is a chile plant. Esta es una planta de chile muy antigua que tiene 2 años con nosotros, desde el año pasado que está con nosotros. And this is the more tallness I see growing chile. Esa es la más grande que yo he visto, ¿no? Y esta estaba acá en estas camas. So you're gonna need a support for this, a medium support, at least 3 feet or 3.5 feet tallness for support. ¿Cuál fue la última que preguntaron? ¿Eran tomates y chiles? Yeah, I think you asked cucumbers and pepinos. So the cucumbers or los pepinos, they're gonna grow climbing. So if you have a really good soil, they can climb, I don't know, 5 feet. The last year, what we did was to make the cucumber grow on this side, like in a wall, so we can make the plant extend through this, like ¿cómo se dice una? It's not a cage, it's like a wall climbing here, so we put something like that. Para el pepino lo que hicimos, si tiene un muy buen, si tiene un buen suelo, el pepino va a poder crecer bastante, pero no solamente hacia arriba, uno puede hacer que el pepino crezca a lo ancho. Y el año pasado lo que hicimos acá fue poner un muro de estas mismas rejas que tenemos acá. Construimos un muro y lo hicimos que creciera hacia los lados. Y la altura fue por lo menos 5 pies. Obviamente, si tú tienes buen suelo y cuidas bien la planta, ella va a poder seguir creciendo. Pero eso va a depender de tu habilidad, cómo tú manejes el suelo y cuántos nutrientes le des. Pero el pepino no siempre va a crecer hacia arriba. El pepino también puede crecer hacia los lados. So the last thing I want to say is the cucumber not just growing up, it's growing broad. They can grow in horizontal part. They don't need to grow just up. And that's it. That depends how you manage the plant. You can go and tie the plant in different parts so they can extend in that side, not just up. Anything else? ¿Algo más? We have 11 minutes. Tenemos 11 minutos.
I put up some trellises in my yard. Here's a couple of pictures of my trellises for my cucumbers. And then I put this up
I can't
for my
see it. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Wait. Okay,
I see it now, sorry.
This is for my cucumbers. And then I put these up for my tomatoes. The wiring was, I think, $8, but I was able to cut it in half. And then I got these heavy stakes because I got the big tomatoes. I got the really big tomatoes. And I wanted to make sure that they're going to be supported well.
So just make sure, Rose, once it gets a little bit bigger, that you're able to tie those tomatoes to the cages because it's going to need support from all sides.
Okay, awesome. I'll make sure I do that.
Your garden looks amazing, Rose. It's really expanded just from the 2 beds to.
I know. I planted all over the place. I got my seedlings coming out. I mean, I have so much stuff growing in my garden. It's like I'm blown away by it.
It looks great. It looks super great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. A lot of fun.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
It's amazing. Amazing. Very good.
Any others before we do some quick announcements? Any other questions from folks? Before we go to some quick announcements on next steps for La Mesa Verde, what we'll be sharing out, some quick resources here at Sacred Heart.
Well, I do want to say something. I want to say thank you to all of you. I'm so glad that I'm in this program. I mean, I am so grateful, especially right now because of the coronavirus. I was really in a really deep depression. And then once I started getting my beds in and the dirt and the plants, man, it's like I have my place where I could come and just escape and just relax. Yeah. So I want to thank you guys from La Mesa Verde. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining and for sharing. The mushroom's some kind of weed. There's another question on the chat real quick. Carlo, if we can read that one out loud before we go into announcements. Yeah.
So there's always going to be a couple of different kind of weeds growing in the garden. Mushrooms can grow in your garden, especially if you have a lot of wood matter in your soil. Usually I would take mushrooms out because some of the mushrooms are actually poisonous, especially some of the ones growing around here in San Jose. So if it's starting to encroach onto any of your plants, definitely you should be able to take it out. It'll take up precious real estate. And eventually, if you leave it in, it will just spread more mushrooms, and you don't necessarily want those kind of mushrooms growing in your garden. Lord.
Tenemos una pregunta breve acerca de hongos que le están saliendo en el jardín. No necesariamente son plaga, pero sí, usualmente como se van expandiendo pueden tomar más de su jardín, entonces es recomendable sacarlos. Y también, pues obviamente si la tierra en su cama está baja, puede ir agregándole o más tierra o con tiempo con el compostaje, debería de ir subiendo su nivel. Porque sí, con el tiempo, con la lluvia, con todo, obviamente con el uso de las plantas, se va bajando lo que es la tierra en su cama. Entonces, por eso promovemos mucho que uno vaya agregándole materia orgánica, compost, o puede pues agregarle más tierra.
So another question in chat is, what if I feel that my beds are low in soil? Can I add more soil? Yeah, you can definitely add more soil in your beds if you feel like it needs more soil. You can also add in more compost with that soil just to make sure that it has the proper nutrients for your plants to grow. And then another question is, oh, actually, did you want to translate that, Jackie?
Oh, I had already answered it.
Oh, you already answered it? Okay. And then the other question is it a good idea to mix dirt with compost and use it on my garden? So, Mariana, I know your garden is pretty freshly made, so you should have a pretty nutrient-dense soil right now. You don't necessarily have to mix extra dirt into your garden, but you can definitely put compost directly as a mulch for your garden. It will increase the growth of your plants. Oh, those are really trellises.
Okay, so this was last year, and I just wanted to show how the tomatoes can get. And these are woods that I got at Home Depot at 70% off. I just kept going back to the back portion of it. And they worked. This year I cut them in half because they were too big because I'm going to do something else. But this is how big my tomatoes grew. So I'm hoping the same thing.
Looking good. I was so proud of your garden last year.
Me too. They're still babies though right now.
Jackie.
Ajá.
Ya, yo también tengo que poner de lado a lado porque ya están grandes estas altas, pero todavía no le pongo el soporte. Ya debería de hacerlo porque ya los jitomates vienen, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Dice Fernando.
Oh, where are you?
Sí, yo creo que sí, Mónica. Yo creo que ya debería estar poniéndole los palitos y amarrando los tomates. Esas plantas van a crecer bien altas, así que trate de buscar unos listones o palos o lo que puedan encontrar más o menos altos. Y por lo menos alrededor, cuidando de no quebrar ni una hoja, ni una rama, ni afectando sus raíces.
Como cobre, si lo ato a las de esas, ¿crees que es? Porque mi marido tiene cable de cobre, pero no sé si es bueno para amarrarlo a la madera.
Sí. No debería tener ningún problema.
Ok, gracias.
So we're in our last 5 minutes. No sé si Noah tenía su mano levantada, si quiere decir algo brevemente. We're in our last 5 minutes before we do a quick poll for being the first time that we use this.
Sí, solamente para compartir rapidito. Lo que comentaba Fernando acerca de los soportes. Yo el año pasado en una cama solo pude poner 5 plantas de tomate debido a que no controlé la poda del tomate, entonces a eso me invadió toda la cama.
Ahí.
Pero es...
Está calentito porque se está yendo.
¿Está aquí?
Ajá.
Lo la ven, así como tu papá lo tenía en la camioneta, pero la...
Y entonces ahora este año lo que implementé fue la poda en el tomate. Tengo 12 plantas de tomate en una sola cama. Pero llevo controlado desde pequeños la poda y pues es primera vez que lo voy a hacer. Ahorita tengo bastante flor de tomate y el sol pues les ha... bueno, yo recomendaría también esa parte si quisieran tener un poquito más de plantas, sería controlar la poda del tomate, llevarlo en una sola guía y sería el soporte en un, como dijo Fernando, en una sola guía. Eso es todo lo que quería compartir nada más.
Gracias.
Gracias, Noah.
Do you want to translate that?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So Noah is sharing, the last year he had like 5 tomatoes plants in one bed or one space, and he never controlled the size. of those plants, so he cannot have any other plant in that space. So what he's doing now is it's a prune. How you say? ¿Cómo dices podar, Jackie?
¿Podar?
Podar, cuando tú cortas las hojas.
I'm blanking out. Trim or
Trim or prune.
Exactly.
Trim them
down. Yeah. So when what he did now, he started to drill the tomatoes plant to provide the space necessary for each one. So he say now have more of 10 plants in one space, more of 10 plants of tomato in one space. We are looking at that in the video. So if you control the space and you drill and prune the plant from the beginning, you can provide the support just using one line and tying the plant into the support.
Okay, thank you. So in our last 2 minutes, like we said, we will be sharing this PowerPoint out, both of them, as well as video to everyone. Since this is the first time we're doing it, we would like to do a quick little poll for y'all to answer. That's going to show up on your screen. So como es la primera vez que hacemos esto, queremos también agarrar un poquito de información de ustedes. Vamos a compartir las presentaciones y también el video en email y también por Facebook, pero queremos agarrar poquita información de ustedes. Si pueden, les debería de haber salido un poll, una evaluación de 3 preguntas ahí, si la pueden llenar rapidito y podemos también agarrar más información para el próximo taller, que posiblemente pues sigamos usando tecnología, ¿verdad? So just want to get a little information since we'll be probably most likely in June doing another video, Zoom, hopefully this time Facebook Live would work. So we just want a little bit of information from y'all. If you could take a few minutes. Oh, so far so good. And we'll be sending all this out. Any other quick announcements here at Sacred Heart? Food, we are still doing food distribution from 9 to 4, Monday through Thursday. Monday, there is a lot of new resources being launched, especially for the immigrant population here in California. So please keep an eye out for that. That's through Catholic Charities, as well as our second round of COVID financial assistance at Sacred Heart is also launching. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to staff for more information. We'll also include that in the email that goes along with this lecture. Unos anuncios breves, como siempre aquí en el Sagrado Corazón seguimos con la distribución de comida de lunes a jueves de 9 a 4 de la tarde. También el lunes, si han visto, se lanza los fondos para más que nada la población inmigrante aquí de California a través de la Organización de Caridades Católicas. También podemos poner este link y esta información en el correo que mandamos de estos detalles. Igual, la asistencia financiera de parte del Sagrado Corazón, la segunda ronda también se va a lanzar esta semana o en 2 semanas, creo. Pero cualquier duda, pregunta, por favor, comuníquese con nosotros, aquí Fernando, yo, Carlo, para más información. Anything else, folks? Thank you for joining, for being the first one. We had about 50 people.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's really good.
So, muchas gracias por hacerlo primero. Tuvimos como 50 personas que se unieron a Zoom, so that's muy, muy positivo para nosotros.
Y gracias por soportarnos durante 2 horas. Thank you for listening us 2 hours.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Feliz sábado. Happy planting.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everybody.
Gracias
a
Gracias,
todos.
Jackie.
Bye, bye, Carlos.
Bye.
Gracias, Carlos. Gracias.
Gracias.
Bye, bye, everyone.
Los veo pronto, los de la mesa verde. A todos.